Hands up who has felt lonely at some point in their life. Hello, I'm Stephanie, and on my channel I like to occasionally cover a subject to really make you think. And today it's a very uncomfortable one that can affect anyone. Yes, even you. Hands up who has felt lonely at some point in their life. Hands up who knows someone who currently feels lonely. In 2022, the Mental Health Foundation did a survey of people in the UK and found that 35% of people said that they would never admit publicly to feeling lonely, and a quarter even stated that they felt ashamed of themselves for feeling lonely. So I ask again, hands up who has felt lonely at some point in their life. And how many of you know someone who currently feels lonely? Despite there being nearly 8 billion people on the planet, the World Health Organization has declared loneliness a global health threat. Despite normal life returning since 2021, the percentage of people suffering from chronic loneliness has increased from 6% up to 7.1%. Now that's chronic loneliness. Not just a passing feeling like a rainy Saturday when you've got no plans or a Wednesday morning when everyone else is at work. It's long-term, ongoing, continuous loneliness. So why is it such an issue? Well, we all know the dangers of smoking, right? 15 cigarettes a day could cause cancer, asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, amongst others. And then there's obesity. Obesity can lead to heart conditions, diabetes and skin problems. Then there's alcoholism. Being an alcoholic can cause a multitude of illnesses, from depression right through to liver disease. Loneliness can be more of a threat to your health than all three. Let that sink in for a minute. Feeling lonely over a period of time can cause more health problems than alcoholism, obesity, and smoking 15 cigarettes a day. You're even at a 50% increased risk of developing dementia. So now you know how important it is for us to combat loneliness, I want to return to my earlier question. Do you know someone who feels lonely? We all know the stereotypical story of the elderly person whose family and friends have died off, and if they had children, they've maybe moved away. But have you thought of the adoptive parent, for example, who only has a child to speak to all day and no antenatal group? Or the person who is new to the area and works from home, so has no natural way of meeting people? What about that friend that you used to see all the time, but since you met your partner, you spend every weekend with them instead? What does that friend do with all the time that you used to spend together? What about the carers who don't get much free time, or those with disabilities who find the outside world less accessible? Maybe they would like some company from someone willing to visit them and make it less stressful trying to get out of the house to be able to make plans. Don't confuse lonely with being alone though. The introverts of the world who would prefer to be at home with a good book, or who make an excuse every time you ask if they're free, might actually want to be alone. There are many people who are alone and happy that way. But there are also many who are surrounded by people, or are in relationships and live with people, family, and are never alone, and yet they feel lonely. Sometimes due to unfulfilling relationships, or maybe from not feeling truly heard. I I have loads of friends and family, but even I found it a huge shock when I first got back to the UK after living abroad. And despite moving back to where I had come from and lived for most of my life, I suddenly realised that everyone else had left. Most people had moved away to more affordable areas and people's life circumstances had changed. So now they had kids or different work commitments. I was suddenly in a familiar place, but with no familiar faces. It was lonely. I was lonely. Making friends at my new job wasn't easy as it was far from home. Most people my age already have friends unless you meet someone in a common space like work or some sort of social club. It's hard to make new connections and friendships. I'm lucky that I'm used to moving to new places and having to start again, so I'm also totally okay with being on my own, and I started taking myself to the local pub with live music and being my usual chatty self. I made friends there. If I was nervous about going out alone, it would be very lonely by now. I hope if you feel lonely, then you now know that you truly are not alone in feeling that way, and it gives you the courage to stand up and put yourself out there to find friends. And if you don't feel lonely, then you now realise that you probably do know someone who is. So next time you're at the bus stop and an older lady comments on the bus being late or the weather, don't just nod and carry on listening to the music on your headphones. Take your headphones off and see whether they were actually trying to start a conversation. Your friend with 4 kids who's constantly posting smiling, happy pictures on the socials, check in and see if she's really okay. The person on their own in the pub you've never seen there before, maybe ask if they are local or passing through to ascertain if they are new to town and might actually be there hoping to find new friends. Check in with each other. Reach out to the friends you haven't seen in a while. They might just need that message right now. Well, I hope that I've made you think a little. And honestly, if I have made just one person feel less alone, whether it's by watching this directly or someone watching this reaching out to them, I'm happy. Humans are naturally social creatures, so let's all do our part in bringing that 7.1% down. And the 25% who feel ashamed of themselves for feeling lonely, speak out, because no one can hear you if you don't. Thanks so much for watching, and I will link the main reference articles used in the description box below, as well as some support helplines. Hopefully I'll see you all next week, and until then, look after yourselves and each other. Bye!